started. So because if we think about what happened over the last couple of months, or basically since February, we see that CIOs have dramatically changed their way of investment and prioritizing things. So it's really about emergency cost optimization, and that means that they are prioritizing on operations that keep the business running, because many of us have been affected by COVID as a result of downsizing investments in projects that might not really be affecting the business as such, or as least not as important. People are intending to stay another year with the same hardware solution, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of things happening, but at the same time, it also means that there is for sure a chance to, let's say, and use what those CIS want to see, and that's that cost optimization. Because if you think about what we sell and how we sell it, our solutions really drive TCO down. And especially in operations, where we typically see that, for example, we have MS increase their number of average customers from 20 per person they handled to about 35 utilizing Scale. We see retailers who manage hundreds of stores with about half of the people before. So these are all cost optimizations that are driven on this agenda of those CIOs that we can help them with. So if you look at where do we see still demand, it's mainly across industries. However, some of them are very slow to almost a non-investment mode. Think anything that has to do with travel. The hotel industry is pretty poor from an investment point of view. Of course, airliners and so on and so on. But at the same time, we're seeing still a high spending and even more spending in certain situations in the public sector and education. Manufacturing is still going strong. We don't see too much downturn there, and engineering as well. And of course, legal and financial services. So those are really the four industries where we see that demand hasn't gone down. And in some cases, actually is increasing because due to COVID, people need to rethink how they are working, what they are doing, and so on and so on. So, if you think about the situation itself, it's all about how do I gonna react to it as an organization? How do I gonna reinvent what, and how do I rebuild, going forward? So, if you look at that, the organizational reactivity was, a mass purchase of laptops for people, because everybody needed to work from home, and in certain countries there wasn't a decent laptop that you could buy anymore, certainly in the March-April period. Another thing that caused a lot of headaches was to provide users for remote access to company data wasn't taken care of in the right way. So a lot of interim solutions have been bought. A lot of companies are still buying those, and that's an interesting opportunity. Extending the company networks to less secure locations is something that is always on the agenda, because security, we all see it with malware and all these type of things. Security is still an issue, and over the years it will become a bigger and a bigger issue. So organizations have to react to that and have to make investments to keep the wheels running. They need to be resilient against those same cyber threats. Yeah. And what we see is that there's a tremendous pickup in VDI solutions. Yeah. How do I work from home? Do I give these people laptops, or do I provide them an interesting way of remote access without providing them with hardware and laptops? Doing it from their own device. And we provide those solutions, and we see a good uptake in that with our LeoStream solutions, for example. And business resiliency is not just getting the software, getting the hardware, but it's also getting your complete disaster recovery plans and resilience plans in place. And this, of course, is a great opportunity for partners, but also we provide a number of services where we can help to secure that not only the right software and hardware is in place to provide those activities, that step beyond to secure that together with that end user, there is a test done on the environment, that there is a true recovery plan, how it works, and so on and so on and so on. So business resiliency is something that is high on the agenda and will stay on the agenda even more so in the coming years, because again, cyber attacks is something that will continue. And we just introduced some new interesting cloud cybersecurity products also from Acronis. But there's a lot of areas where we can help there from a business resiliency point of view. Excuse me. And then operational innovation. So more and more solutions, what you see, are integrated. And if you think about infrastructure as such, HCI is exactly, what I'm talking about here. And not just HCI, but it's a great sample, and that's what we sell. So, but if you think about traditional infrastructure with separate servers, separate virtualization software, separate storage, and so on and so on. I mean, I remember when I was vice president at Seagate, I mean, we did, just for the backup, we did 3-4 days of training. Yeah. So if you think about that, the Scale HC3 platform has a number of elements, and it's completely taking care of your compute, storage, and virtualization. It provides great snapshotting, file level recovery, all these type of things. And there's a lot of security tools integrated in there. So that means that it's one platform, fully integrated, easy to manage, one-click installation for all. So that means from an operational point of view, companies see easily 50 to 75% saving on not just the initial installation, but also keeping the wheels running. And that operational activity is, of course, extremely important, not just for SMB customers who might, have a small IT solution, but if you think about organizations with a lot of offices or large volume edge deployments in retail or the shipping industry and so on, it's also that multiplier effect. So if you think about the Scale platform with a very low resource level, where we only take about 4 gig and less than a core in a 3-node cluster, that means that you can deploy a solution, let's say, where somebody on the edge needs to run 3, 4, 5 VMs. That is typically, let's say, maybe 16 or 24 gig a server or 32 gig a server, versus other solutions like a Nutanix for HPE SimpliVity that need to go to a minimum of 32 to 64 gig just to run their own platform, let alone to run your VMs. Now, suppose you have that 3-node cluster, you need 32 gig more. It's 3 nodes times 32 gig, like 100 locations. That's 332 Mac modules more. Say you need 4 instead of 6 cores, what you need with competition. That's another processor type, meaning also 3 nodes per location times 100 locations. And when you start to add up those things, you easily talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference between competitive solutions and what we can provide on the edge. So what we also see is that the budgets by themselves, and this is not just from us, but it's also what Gartner commits and states and IDC and Forrester, but there is more and more requests to do, new things with the same money they have. So budgets are not increasing. So they are driven to become more efficient. Yeah. And those layers of protection, needs also a different approach. Because if you think about, for example, let's say in retail, typically what you see is that the operational systems for your point of sale and so on, and inventory management, scanning, all these type of things, run on specific servers. But your CCTV, those 23 cameras they have in the store are on a separate system. Well, that separate system is not an integrated part of the solution. So therefore, it needs extra knowledge, yeah, and so on and so on. Why not have the same CCTV on the same cluster as you run your point of sale, as you run your store infrastructure as a whole? Yeah, because that again drives efficiency from a cost point of view, but also from a management point of view. And you can secure, the VM that runs the CCTV and provide access to specific groups of people for that and not to anybody else. So people have to think about that. And also, if you think about the combination of cybersecurity and operational innovation, the explosion of IoT devices that you see is tremendous. Yeah. Now the problem is that a lot of these devices are pretty shaky when it comes to security. So why not, as many of our customers do already, break down the hardware piece of such an IoT device from the software and just run the software as a little, maybe 1 gig or 2 gig VM on the Scale cluster. Yeah. And now you secure the cluster, and that means running those IoT devices are secure. Well, from a management point of view, it's much easier. But what you now also get is that from a security point of view, you're really bringing this to the next level. So, okay, so if we look at Scale HC3, we really have all the elements that you need to achieve this. So we talk about edge solutions, traditional central data center solutions. We offer cloud solutions. So the core remote data center systems are in a very big range, up to even over 1.3 petabyte a cluster, but also can go dramatically small in form factor as well as resources. So it's not only going up, but also coming down in size, coming down in resources used in those systems. So the real range that we can offer there is very, very extensive. Yeah. And that means that we don't have to force people into a certain direction because there's always the right solution for them. VDI solutions, not just LeoStream that we sell, but also other solutions like the Microsoft environment, parallels that we support, yeah, and the business resiliency, where we have a lot of solutions integrated already in our standard platform, but also offer solutions like from Acronis that provide a lot of additional functions from a cloud backup, a traditional backup, and so on and so on and so on. So if you think about business resiliency, the built-in backup and disaster recovery that we have means snapshot replication, failover, failback, restore, all these type of things are integrated standard in the platform. People don't pay extra for it. Today, we see about 60% of our customers already running fully on the integrated backup DR solutions, and about another 40% are still doing backup the traditional way with specific backup solutions like from Acronis, or even installing agents for a Veeam backup, these type of things. So, but you really need to think about, do I need that? Yeah, because that of course drives cost up. Yeah, because if you look at our backup and DR tools and think about our applications, I mean, you can set schedules like you would in a backup solution. So you can set, for example, I want to schedule a 5-minute snapshot during the first hour, then 24 times an hour, 7 days, and so on. So you can schedule your snapshots like you would schedule a backup, and you would instantly be capable of going back in time to a certain momentum when something happens or a cyber attack happens, these type of things. And you can all do that with the integrated solutions that we have in Scale HC3. Now, if you think about snapshots, yeah, we can do up to 5,000 snapshots, which is massive. And it's dramatically fast. And that means also it's great for test and development purposes, yeah, that technology. So it's integrated, doesn't cost anything extra. So think about that when you sell a solution. it's that combination of what is integrated and is it good enough versus, or do I need something else and get an extra backup from Acronis or another third-party product supporting KVM to deliver the build-in, to deliver backup in DR. Work from anywhere. Again, we are very successful, especially over the last 3-4 months, given the situation with COVID and everybody working from home with our VDI solutions from Leostream. Now, what some of you might know, some of you don't, but Leostream is the leader when it comes to Linux-based VDI. And for example, in Holland, a company like Rabobank, they have about 1,500 Leostream users, all for people, development people, and so on, and another 8,500 Citrix users for the rest. Portugal Telecom, 9,000 users. University of Rennes in France, 20,000 users. So it's a product that is very well known. We have multiple case studies on that as well. But what is interesting is that the implementation of Leostream is extremely fast, way faster than a Citrix environment, way faster than a VMware Horizon. And also from a cost point of view, it's extremely aggressive priced. And it starts at something like 5,000 euros for a 25 user kit. It's available in named user or per desktop. So you can also have whatever the selection you prefer. So of course, when you would do a call center type of activity, you would go for the desktop, and otherwise maybe per named user. Ransomware and other cyber threats. Check out the new announcement that we made together with Acronis and what we offer there. Some great solutions. I believe there's also software trial possibilities there, but just check it out. And then again, advanced backup and cloud storage. A lot of new possibilities with the cloud solutions that we sell from Acronis. So if you haven't seen it yet, have a look at that. But all of these things together, we can offer a full integrated system, but also deliver the business resiliency that is high on the agenda of those CIOs we talked before. So let's look at our platform. So we really support from SMB and Edge on the small side with the HE 100 and 500 series, all the way to the enterprise business with the 3000 and the 5000 series. As I said earlier, going up to 1.3 petabyte. Different cloud solutions where we can back up to Azure or Amazon with Acronis and so on. HC3 Cloud Unity, of course, driven on the Google platform. And those services are also offered locally. So, for example, if you're in Belgium, it will connect to the Belgium data center of Google. In Germany, it will connect only to the German data center. So there's different product SKUs depending on the country you are. And that also means that the data stays in country. So if you are in Germany and you select our Cloud Unity, you will get connections to, I believe, Frankfurt and Mainz, but I'm not 100% sure. There's 3 or 4 data center cities there. And that data will stay in Germany. And also replication there is done in Germany and not going out of the country. So secure environment, very interesting. And if you have any questions, ask one of our people there. So the HE series. The HE series are basically designed for edge computing. And edge computing is what we say anywhere where mission critical applications run outside the data center, outside the core data center. So that means remote offices, like let's say for in banking with organizations that might have 300, 500, 1,000 offices across a country. Think about technology in windmills, think about telecommunication towers, but also shipping and logistics. And we have been pretty successful in shipping lately, winning quite some customers like Telford Offshore. We just did a big deal in December 2019 with Northern Marine, which is owned by Stena Lines, where there is a scale cluster provided on 80 ships they manage. And in retail, retail is a huge industry. Some retailers struggle today because of COVID. other retailers see a booming time. And think about traditional grocery stores, supermarkets. They provide numbers to the financial analysts that are bigger than they've ever seen before. So they're growing very, very hard. And that's logic because, a lot of people, because they have to stay at home, go less out to restaurants and these type of things, but they still have to eat. So from that point of view, those retailers do very well. So anywhere where mission critical applications run outside the core data center is what we call edge computing. Now, there's two series that are really doing, I would say, 98% of our edge computing sales. HE100 series that was introduced late last year, and the HE500 series. HE100 is a micro-size internet-based system. The HE500 are a small form factor 1U rack version, and the 500 series is a standalone unit typically used as a backup target, for example. So the HC series, sorry, SMB and mid-market is the target market for that one beyond volume edge deployments. And if you think about that, what we typically see is that these things, a little set of 3 units, typically less than 10,000 euros for a 3-node cluster. These things are capable of, for example, supporting 25 users from a VDI perspective. They can run easily 3, 4, 5, 6 VMs, depending on the need of the customer. Now, these devices are all NVMe based. They can be up to 64 gig, from 8 to 64 gig RAM. They're based on Intel processors, i3, i5, i7, and run up to 2 terabyte NVMe in a single server. So you talk about raw 6 terabyte single server solutions. Now, what we start to see here is that where organizations before considered to replace their server with just another server, is that instead of one server, people now start to buy these 3 little nodes to replace, because of course you have the full advantage of a normal HCI solution with everything around it, but the costs are completely different to what others can offer. Yeah, and also, if you think about doctors, dentist offices, you name it, yeah, because more and more applications run on these smaller things or with smaller companies. The thing is that single server is still a critical point of failure. Yeah, if the server goes down, those organizations cannot work. And given the dramatic reduction in acquisition price of what we offer there with the HE series, it means also that now HCI becomes available for a complete new group of people. Yeah, and if you think about edge computing, of course, centrally managing this is an important thing, and I come back to that in a second. Yeah, verticals. Local government, you see finance, manufacturing, education, but also in retail for the smaller retailers, yeah, who might just have this is a great solution. Yeah. Now, distributed enterprise, and now think about that bank with 500 offices, or that retailer with 1,000 stores, or anything in between. So anywhere from, let's say, 10 plus to hundreds or thousands of sites. What we have generated here is an environment that is now unique. And if you have a large customer interested, we can provide a confidential demonstration of this, but we will launch later this year our new Edge portal. And you see a screenshot of that on the right. What the screenshot says is, basically an overview of all your installations that you have running. Yeah. It shows priorities, it shows issues, all of these type of things. And from there, you can drill down into a cluster that has the problem, which is, of course, then bringing you into the interface of a normal scale cluster. But what this also does, it fully integrates things like Ansible playbooks and so on and so on. So in combination with our API, you can create a tremendous automated environment. And the more sites you have, of course, deployment is an issue from costs, yeah, and our CIOs look to bring costs down. So what it does basically is you set up your Edge portal, yeah, and then you're going to identify, okay, how many sites do I have? What are the specifications of the site? The network addresses, all these type of things. So you can import that from a database, an Excel spreadsheet, and so on. And now you have populated the sites that you're going to deploy to in your Edge portal. Now, the next thing is you get hardware that you need to send out to these locations. So you would basically scan the barcode on the server. You do that 3 times, and you allocate those 3 servers that you just scanned in to a specific location. Now, what will happen is that automatically the details of such a server, what RAM, processor type, serial number, all of these type of things are automatically now linked to the site, yeah, that you linked it to. And that means that after a shipping label is created and all these type of things, you ship out your solution, yeah, to the remote site. Now, it goes a little bit further because what you can also do is, let's say you have different sites. Out of the 500 sites or 100 sites, there's 3 different groups of sites. And one group might have a set of applications, and maybe 4 VMs. Another group might have a different set of applications because there is an additional service that you offer in those locations, and maybe have 7 VMs and so on. So you can do all these type of things, and now you can integrate these solutions and have them be ready in the Edge portal. The moment now those nodes that you scanned in and shipped to the location, the moment you put the power on and connect them to the network on the location, that cluster will automatically search contact with the Edge portal. The Edge portal recognizes those 3 nodes that are in location 67, and automatically the whole everything will be set up and automatically created. Yeah, the cluster will be fully up and running, and after that it's tested, and after that automatically the Edge portal will load up the applications to that remote location. So that means that we talk about a full zero-touch installation. This alone saves, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on how large the installation is. And to talk about large, we're expecting over the next few months, but certainly this year, to close a deal that will go to about 35, 40,000 locations. So with a single customer, just to give you some idea what the effect could be on saving. And that also means that if you only have 10 sites, well, 10 sites, it probably doesn't even make sense to do this. But let's say if you have 20, 30, 40 sites potentially, it already starts to make sense to utilize the Edge portal in that way. Likely the Edge portal will get a price tag. We have not decided yet exactly what we're going to do there. Probably in a couple of brackets depending on the number of locations. But what we do know is that the reactions from very large volume Edge customers are really fantastic, and a lot of them love to get their hands on it, and at a very early release, probably talking about end of September, early October. So in any case, if you think about distributed enterprise and volume Edge deployments, we can offer a solution that nobody can. Yeah, we can do that because we provide the smallest endpoint solution for hyperconverged platforms. And certainly in a lot of those locations, size is also important because a lot of those locations do not have a 19-inch rack. The pricing starting at 2,000 euros roughly per node is extremely low. And these devices support up to let's say roughly 10 gig or 10 VMs. Yeah, so very interesting, very flexible. It's very high profit in comparison, and it's typically what we see single server replacement. Yeah, but you're adding the full redundancy of a full hyperconverged environment. It has those backup integration and replication functionality, centralized management, and so on and so on. Yeah. So it is a normal scale cluster, but only for an extremely attractive price and with a very small form factor. Now, this is something no other hyperconverged vendor can offer. No Nutanix or HP SimpliVity or VMware, vSAN, nobody can offer this. So that means that what we see when cost comes, to the table, some vendors offer additional two node solutions, two server solutions, yeah, like Nutanix does. But there's a lot of negatives there because first of all, you need to have a witness. Second is when there is something with one of the two servers, the other one goes in write only or in read only mode, yeah, and so on and so on. Plus, the size per server needs to be a hell of a lot larger, yeah, from a RAM and processor capacity than a typical three-node solution, yeah. So in the end, they go down to a two-node solution, but the moment the witness is gone for a longer term, yeah, or in locations where you don't have that possibility to go out and search for a witness, uh, it really is not a great solution. Yeah, it's not cost effective and so on. So what we see is that we can now provide full hyperconverged clusters in the three-node version for less money than what we see with the two-node and witness solutions. We can offer those too, but we are not doing this. The HC5 150 series is a great solution to compete in those environments. And think about it, when you sell that or when you offer this, your competitors cannot offer that same solution based on Nutanix or VMware or whatever. Yeah, they will not be able to compete in this area. So it's a great way of finding some unique selling spaces. Yeah, and it offers a lot of benefits. We also still run a promotion for this, so I believe somewhere around 3,000 or 4,000 euros. I'm not exactly sure about the pricing, but you can buy a full three-node, not for resale cluster. So you can show it to customers, have them play with it for a couple of days, run some VMs, and they will be amazed about the ease of use, speed that it can deliver. But this is a special promotion, not for resale program, inclusive certification and all these type of things. So talk to your local sales rep or your distributor, Scale distributor. But this is a great way for you to acquire a full cluster for just a few thousand euros. By the way, if you're interested, let us know because we are also interested that when you do this, to immediately see if we can set up, for example, a seminar together to your prospect and customer database to really start promoting this. And we'll actually provide you with some funding for that as well. So in any case, great solution, unique, absolute unique. Nobody can sell this or can offer this beyond Scale right now. And it will help you to win deals. Okay, so the next step up is the 500 series. So that is what I would call a small form factor 19-inch rack unit, 1U, and it's a lot less depth than a typical rack server. So it can be in a small depth rack, yeah, and it's interesting for 5, 10, but also 20, 30 workloads without any problem. Now, for example, this is a solution that runs at the 800 locations in Delhaize in Belgium in the supermarkets. This is also the same solution that we run on the ships of Stena Line in a three-node cluster. Very flexible. There's a lot of processor and RAM configurations, disk configurations possible. And you also see the TF series or the TTF series. Is the standalone unit that is mostly used as a backup target. Deployment scenarios designed for edge computing, remote sites, but also for SMB installations, as well as a backup in the on target. Typical replacing two servers with a SAN. This makes sense. Yeah. Cluster starting in a 3-node solution, 17,000 euros roughly. And it has an interesting capacity up to 64 terabytes. So on the TF series, so ideal for offsite backup. And of course, those units can then be hosted in your data center and maybe combined to provide it as a service. Yeah. So think about that. Some interesting scenarios. On the backup side, we talked about it a little bit, but you have Acronis. We can do remote cloud storage with Acronis there, and long-term archiving, all these type of things. Look at that, what we announced over the last couple of weeks also, together with the cloud side. And, you know, it's adding basically the value of the cell that you make to an end user, but also it provides some very interesting for full turnkey opportunities. So the 3000 series. The 3000 series is something we launched not long ago. Complete different other game and different price tags. I mean, a 3-node cluster is let's say 75,000-80,000 euros. But you talk about a full NVMe unit, yeah. So complete different performance scale, full NVMe, and up to 76 terabyte per node in raw storage. So that means in a 3-node cluster we can do about 105 terabytes in a 3-node cluster with all VME, and that means that they will get a performance which is unbelievable, and you know, a storage environment that is already interesting for the majority of the SMB customers as well as mid-market customers or special projects in enterprise for that matter. Also, there's higher end processors in there supporting up to 52 cores per node. So that's 104 threads. A very interesting solution. And if you remember from all the presentations that we might have done 1-2 years ago, you know, typical what we saw in the days in the past was that if there was a performance issue, you would put some more RAM in a server or another processor, and you were okay again. So it was always the hardware that is the bottleneck. Now, what we see now, however, is the software becomes the bottleneck. So that means if you take other solutions like a Nutanix, like HP SimpliVity, that use a virtual storage appliance approach, yeah, they will benefit absolutely from NVMe. However, they will not benefit as much as we do because our platform does not use a virtual storage appliance, and that means that storage, that direct storage approach that we offer, is so much faster from a throughput, yeah, that typically you see that where, according to at least tests done by Micron Technology, that in certain cases where they saw competitors increasing performance 30, 40, 50%, going to all VME devices, the Scale environment performed 300, 400, 500% more, yeah, depending on the scenario and so on. Now, this is not fully optimized yet, and we're still working to optimize even further, but already today there's a dramatic performance increase, and it's one of the fastest infrastructure systems available in the market today. SATA drive SSD manages around 100 megabytes, NVMe 3,500. I mean, a huge difference, 7 times the performance. So does it matter? Yes. Is it interesting? Already today, absolutely yes, because the pricing of NVMe drives is coming down fast. And I actually believe that in the next 1-2 years, the change to NVMe-based systems will go faster and faster and faster because the price of those devices comes down. Yeah, so Okay, HC3000 use cases, databases, VDI. Those are really key areas, I would say. And it's also performance versus cost benefit, right? So if you have very high-end applications or running very large databases with a lot of calculations that need to be done, this pays back, this investment. So for VDI, thousands of VDI deployments can be supported with this without any problem. And again, it's one of the fastest in the industry. So if you're in competition with others, really, see if you can throw this in as a solution, because it really it will really help to make a difference and help you to win deals. Here are the versions as a comparison. So the DF series that the HC1250, based on full SATA all flash, runs up to 31 terabyte per node. The 3250, 77 terabyte. Yeah. The newest, latest Cascade Lake Intel processor, and maximum 52 cores versus 40 for the all flash. And then we also added the 25 gig networking for the 3250 series, for the NVMe series. So also faster networking. Okay, so that's it. So let's open up for questions.
Thank you, Johan. Now, no questions. If you do have questions, you can just fill that in the chat or in the Q&A. Oh, see, I see some questions, so hold on. I have a question. Is the Edge portal usable for MSP to administer distributed on-premise customers in a multi-tenant manner?
In principle, there are possibilities for that, yes. But we would like to, we have been looking at installation efficiency and management, but of course you can manage different groups. So, for example, let's say there is a specific VM that only one vendor needs access to support. You can arrange that from a security setting point of view, but also for MSPs to manage a lot of different sites with this, is basically possible. Yeah.
Thank you. Second question: are these HE100 and HE based on the Lenovo hardware?
The HE100 not. That's based on Intel NUC. The other systems are based on Lenovo hardware.
Thank you.
Lenovo OEM.
Third question: is it a Scale project based, or is it a Scale project based on the third-party hardware? So you just responded here.
Correct.
Thanks. And last question: do you have plans for the AI servers from Lenovo?
Not at this stage. It is on the development agenda, but lower priority right now.
Have any other questions? So I guess that's all. Thank you all for this webinar. I will send you the slides for presentation, and I will record as well the webinar for the Q&A and send you the recording. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much all. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.